Tonight, going with his son Patrick. Glad you're back to normal radio. That's from Pat. I don't think Pat was a fan of all the politics that we did. Well, Pat, we're doing politics now. The race to replace Boris Johnson as Prime Minister has now begun. The Prime Minister quit yesterday following a wave of ministerial resignations. Nearly 60 Conservative MPs have left government roles in recent days at both senior and junior levels, raising doubt about the government's ability to function. In a defiant speech outside 10 Downing Street, Boris Johnson threw in the towel.
Herd instinct is powerful. When the herd moves, it moves. And my friends, in politics, no one is remotely indispensable. And our brilliant and Darwinian system will produce another leader equally committed to taking this country forward through tough times.
Well, some of the Conservative MPs hoping to replace Boris Johnson as leader of the party are starting to launch their campaigns. Last night, the chairman of the Foreign Affairs Committee, Tom Tugendhat, he's been a prominent critic of the Prime Minister, joined the Attorney General, Suella Braverman, by declaring that he would run. And we've got a local horse in the race. Ben Wallace, the MP for Wyre and Preston North, seems to be the bookie's favourite, although he's yet to actually say he wants the job. Well, let's speak to Georgia Gilholy, who is a political commentator and a columnist for Conservative Home. Georgia, good morning.
Good morning.
So, obviously, in Lancashire, we wonder whether we might have a Lancashire MP as Prime Minister. Ben Wallace seems to be, at the moment, the bookie's favourite.
Yeah, it's certainly possible. He's been, I believe, a Tory grassroots favourite for a couple months now, or maybe 3 months, dislodging Liz Truss, obviously. I think possibly his reaction to Ukraine being Defence Secretary could be part of that. Though in terms of, his national image, obviously it's gone up a little bit with the conflict in Ukraine, but I think he's somewhat of an unknown because he's sort of a recent promotion, obviously.
And the thing is, particularly in Conservative leadership races, the favourite nearly never wins.
Absolutely. A lot of the time it's sort of the underdog. Obviously, we even saw that back in the 70s when Margaret Thatcher won the race. So it could be possible that someone other than Ben Wallace wins. We even have backbench people like Steve Baker saying they might come forward. We have, I've heard, especially on Twitter this morning, a lot of people coming out for Penny Mordaunt, who is obviously also Defence Secretary back in Theresa May's day. I think right now it's almost impossible to say who's going to win.
What have you made of the last 48 hours?
I suppose chaotic would be a good word. I think it was. I mean, Boris Johnson described the fact that they. Oh, sorry. Boris Johnson described the fact that he was pushed out of office by his MPs as eccentric, but I think most regular people are thinking that his behaviour, holding himself up in number 10 when he was essentially in an impossible position as a Prime Minister, I think that was seen as eccentric by most regular people.
Yeah, and I believe quite a few Conservative MPs really wound up by the speech yesterday because there was no kind of sense. They feel there was no sense of, yep, I have made mistakes, and this is what has ultimately brought me to this.
No, absolutely. I mean, in his speech, there was, in typical Boris Johnson fashion, really, there was absolutely zero contrition. He didn't even refer to the specific scandal, the Chris Pincher nightmare, basically, which has sort of accelerated his downfall over the past 36 hours. But obviously, it's not just that. It's Partygate. It's probably a lot of general anxieties to do with the economy, which obviously relates to some of the lockdown policies. Relates to the fact that our energy prices are rocketing because the Tories over the past 12 years have not implemented an energy security strategy which would allow us to cope with temporary issues in Ukraine. I think it's just a build-up and a build-up, and many people are dissatisfied with him. And it's, obviously, I wasn't expecting him necessarily to be teary like Theresa May or super apologetic, because we know his personality, but it's just obviously worthy of commenting on. It's quite a contrast to many other prime ministers.
Obviously, the runners and riders that are, throwing their hats in the ring right now, it's a bit unfair to ask you, but who do you think's going to get it?
I mean, like you're saying, in terms of the grassroots, Ben Wallace is currently quite popular. We don't know how he's going to perform at debates, etc., or who knows what will happen. Also, we don't actually know right now, because obviously MPs have to back certain candidates. We don't know if it could even go to a party member's vote, so it could be maybe someone even like Jeremy Hunt, who not particularly popular with the public or with Tory grassroots, but has the support of a lot of MPs. It could be obviously someone like Rishi Sunak, Sajid Javid, Nadine Zahawi, though his performance over the past few days could be seen as a little bit backstabbing. Quite extraordinary performance over him for the past few days. So I really couldn't say definitely, though we saw a snap poll yesterday that says that Rishi Sunak would be the only one of the runners and riders that would perform better against Keir Starmer. So I think that maybe people would look at that and think, okay, we need him to beat Keir Starmer if that's the logic of the Tory MPs.
Okay. Georgia, thank you for joining us this morning. A political commentator, a columnist for the right-wing blog Conservative Home. So